Jared Franchard, Sean Casey, and also Joel Sherman with you. And first up, because you've been part of some organizations that have had some historic turnarounds both in Boston and also Chicago. So when you look at this Mets franchise, what do you think is kind of the first aspect you need to go to work on?
I think right away just going to work on overall roster depth is really important. You know, it's critical to have quality depth, as you fill the roster out. And for me with the Mets, that's an area that seems to be actionable immediately. So we're already on top of that. We'll continue to do that. It's not only roster depth at the major league level, but down below in AAA. So I think that's the first order of business. And then, just seeing how the market continues to shape up this offseason, maintaining our flexibility as we make decisions and trying to put ourselves in a position of leverage every time we make a move.
Jared, Joel Sherman here. Consider this the first of many questions to come while you're in New York with me. I wonder, usually somebody gets your job, it's somebody taking over what needs to be, if not a partial or total rebuild. The Mets have pretty good top-line talent here. You're going for top-line talent, and yet there's a lot of issues, culture, minor league depth, things like that have to be addressed. How do you balance two things of that power? One that you could win right now and one that you want to fix the team for the long term?
Yeah, I think they run together. I think sustainability is really important. I think in the short term, there's some really good pieces on this team. The team has a really strong core of players, both in the rotation, the bullpen, and the position player group. So, continuing to strengthen that core, but also building out the farm system, drafting well, making good, effective trades to help fill out the system, and then adding that layer of depth up top. All that stuff's going to eventually lead to sustainability. But with some of the guys that the team already has in place, at DeGrom, Stroman, May, Diaz, Alonso, Conforto, Nimmo, McNeil, just keep going, Dominic Smith. There's so many good players that it's a great situation, and I think I'm really excited to be part of it.
Jared, what's up, man? Sean Casey, congratulations. Congratulations, brother. I want to show you a picture really quick right here. Is that you in the blue right there?
Yeah, I was at your house.
Yes.
I still haven't stopped laughing. I'm telling you, I've always heard that you can laugh to a point where you can't breathe. And that actually happened that night with you telling those stories. It's the hardest I've ever laughed in my life, and I mean it.
Dude, it was one of the greatest nights ever when Bussy was telling his stories and we were going back and forth.
Oh.
The one thing I thought was so great.
But real quick, you got to tell people where that picture's from.
So that's on my porch before the 2015 Pirates-Cubs game. Theo is a buddy of mine from back, is a friend of mine, and they all just came over the porch. And I thought the greatest thing about this story, and Jared said it earlier in his interview, he was talking about relationship building. I thought it was so cool. I said, Theo, bring a couple of the guys over. And Theo brought the whole front office over, and I thought it was amazing you guys were traveling together, but I was like, man, that's what it's all about. Are you going to bring that kind of stuff that Theo and Mike Hayes and those guys are, you talked about relationship building. Are you looking to do that with your Mets front office?
No doubt. That's a huge part of what I've learned about who I am. Professional development, building a culture, an idea meritocracy, giving everyone an opportunity to impact the organization, putting people in a position where they feel like they're making an impact is all so important. So for sure, I've always had that where I've worked, and that's going to continue with the Mets.
Jared, follow up to that because you're coming in. Sandy is obviously an accomplished baseball man. You're relatively new to both the job and New York. Can you go through the balance of how you, what your responsibilities will be right away and how much you have to lean on Sandy and other members of the organization who've been there a while since we're already into December of an off season?
Yeah, well, certainly the opportunity to work, with and for someone like Sandy with his experience level, his track record, his leadership abilities is so exciting to me. And it was a big part of the appeal for this job, so I'm sure I'll lean on him a lot. And, on top of that, with Bryn Alderson, with Tom Tanis, Ian Levin, other guys we've talked to in the organization, there's going to be a lot of learning on my end as well. I think as far as immediate things, it's getting a handle on the roster, on trade targets, on free agent targets, both major league and minor league, and then making sure that we invest in the right people as we bring staff on board and start to create that culture that Sean referenced.
Jared, you've worked in some big markets with some huge fan bases in Boston and Chicago, also out in Arizona as well. How do you think that's going to prepare you for what you think is to come in dealing with another huge fan base in the biggest city in the world?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, it certainly energizes me. I love passionate people, passionate fans. An engaged and energized fan base is something that's great. You know, it certainly will energize me, and I'm sure it motivates the players. And you know, I'm excited. You know, coming from Boston and Chicago, specifically talking about the bigger markets, I was able to see, you know, how Theo and Jed and Ben, you know, and others operate in that arena, and it's certainly something that I've learned a lot from along the way, and I'll use it as guidance all the time.
Jared, can you talk about you truly have worked your way up from an intern, you know, to player development, from scouting. You know, how does that help you now taking over the reins as the big guy with the Mets?
Yeah, it helps so much. You know, I think a strong internship program, you know, the apprentice program is so important. And working your way up, it just gives you an opportunity to touch so many different areas of the operation. And, you know, I think as I draw back, you know, in every decision you make, it's, you know, there's a player development aspect to it. There's an amateur scouting aspect to it. There's a professional scouting aspect to it. You know, there's a research and development aspect to it. So, you know, having experience in all those areas, you know, I feel very fortunate that I was given those opportunities by leaders in other organizations. And yeah, I'm all in on the collaboration and the deep decision-making process.
All right, DJ LeMahieu, George Springer, Trevor Bauer. I mean, who's next? You want to break news right now? We'll take it. We'll take it.
A lot of good players out there. You know, like Sandy said and I said, we're engaging and evaluating all pockets of the market, and we'll continue to do that.
Spoken like a true general manager. You were ready for the job. Jared Porter, brand new Mets GM. We appreciate you spending a little time with us, and good luck in 2021 and moving on.